Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto-3, Chapter 27, Understanding Material Nature. So, we are in the section where Kardama Muni is explaining attaining liberation through the process of yoga. And although the activities may look like, but these are specifically bhakti-yoga activities. Right. So, we are at text 11. मुक्तलिंगं सदा भासं असति प्रतिपद्यते सतो बंधुम असच्चक्षुः सर्वं अनुच्युतं द्वयम्. Translation.
A liberated soul realizes the absolute personality of Godhead, who is transcendental and who is manifest as a reflection even in the false ego. He is the support of the material cause and he enters into everything. He is absolute, one without a second, and he is the eyes of the illusory energy. Purport. A pure devotee can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything materially manifested. He is present there only as a reflection, but a pure devotee can realize that in the darkness of material illusion, the only light is the Supreme Lord, who is its support. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that the background of the material manifestation is Lord Krishna. And as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Krishna is the cause of all causes. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Supreme Lord, by his partial or plenary expansion, is present not only within this universe and each and every universe, but in every atom, although he is one without a second. The word Advayam, without a second, which is used in this verse, indicates that although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is represented in everything, including the atoms, he is not divided. His presence in everything is explained in the next verse. Hare Krishna.
Now, this what we have seen, the characteristics of a liberated personality till now. Now we see that such a liberated soul realizes the absolute personality of Godhead. What he realizes? That the absolute personality is transcendental. He is manifest as a reflection even in the false ego. He is the support of the material cause and enters into everything. He is absolute, without a second, and he is the eyes of the illusory energy. So these are the 7 realizations, right? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains all 7, that the absolute personality of Godhead is transcendental, Narayano Parovaktat. He manifests as a reflection even in the false ego. So what this means is that the Supreme Lord, even in the darkness of illusion, the only light is the Supreme Lord, Srila Prabhupada writes. Right. In fact, any sense of light is there in this material world is only because of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahmajyoti's light is reflected on the sun planet, and the sun's light is illuminating everyone. And therefore, he is called as a manifestation, as a reflection, even in the false ego. He supports material nature, mayadhyakshena prakriti, right? Brahmano hi pratisthaham. So he is the support to the material cause, even to the Brahman who is spiritual, transcendental. He enters into everything. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. He is absolute. He is without second, right? So he is asama urdvaha, and he is the eyes of the material energy. So Srila Prabhupada very beautifully explains this. And therefore the Lord is also called as Advayam. So these are the 7 realizations of a liberated soul who has practiced this. Text 12. Text 12 and 13, we will be seeing the inference of soul and super soul. So this is the next section. Yatha jalasya bhasa sthalasthena avadrishyate swabhasena yatha suryo jalasthena divi sthitah. Translation.
The presence of the Supreme Lord can be realized just as the sun is realized first as a reflection on water and again as a second reflection on the wall of a room, although the sun itself is situated in the sky. Purport. The example herewith is perfect. The sun is situated in the sky far, far away from the surface of the earth, but its reflection can be seen in a pot of water in the corner of a room. The room is dark and the sun is far away in the sky, but the sun's reflection on the water illuminates the darkness of the moon. A pure devotee can realize the presence of Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything by the reflection of his energy. In the Vishnu Puran, it is stated that as presence of fire is understood by heat and light, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although one without a second, is perceived everywhere by the diffusion of his different energies. It is confirmed in the Ishopanishad that the presence of Lord is perceived everywhere by the liberated soul, just as the sunshine and the reflection can be perceived everywhere, although the sun is situated far away from the surface of the globe.
The presence of the Supreme Lord is thus realized just like the sun. Now, we have already seen the attributes of the Supreme Lord, the 7 attributes of the Supreme Lord in the previous verse. And now the presence of the Lord, how it's realized, it's just like the sun. Although sun is situated far somewhere, but through the reflection on the water or through the reflection on the wall of the room, one can realize there is sun. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says the example given in is perfect example. The sun is situated far away from the sky, but still through the reflection, and the reflection is carried through sunlight, which is the energy of the sun, one can understand the presence of the sun. Similarly, the Lord, although the Lord is situated in the spiritual world, of course, now whenever we give an analogy, there is a limitation of the analogy. Sun here is the material object, right? And Lord is the spiritual personality. So Lord is like sun is situated there and the reflection is here, but the Lord is situated there also, here also, in the heart of everybody, andantarastha paramanu, in every atom also. Sun cannot do that. If the sun to come in our house, I mean, it is like, everything is gone. But the Lord can do that. But still one can understand here, Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhuto. Although the Lord is situated in the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan, still akhilatma bhuto andantarastha paramanu. How Vishnu Puran explains? Through the medium of energy. Parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate swabhaviki jnana balakriyacha. So just like the fire can be felt through the presence of heat and light, right? So the fire, and there is heat and light. Similarly, the presence of the Lord can be felt in this world through the multifarious energies of the Supreme Lord. Although the Lord is situated somewhere far, Golok Vrindavan. And again, the Lord expands and is situated everywhere and everything, even in the material world. But for the easy understanding, there is example of the sun. Text 13. एवं त्रिवृत् अहंकारो भूतेन्द्रियो मनोमयैः स्वाभासै लक्षितानेन Satbhasena satyadrak. Translation.
The self-realized soul is thus reflected first in the threefold ego and then in the body, senses, and mind. Purport. The conditioned soul thinks I am this body, but a liberated soul thinks I am not this body. I am a spirit soul. This I am is called ego, or identification of the self. I am this body, or everything in relationship to the body is mine, is called false ego. But when one is self-realized and thinks that he is an eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, that identification is a real ego. One conception is in the darkness of the threefold qualities of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and the other is in the pure state of goodness called Siddha Sattva or Vasudeva. When we say that we give up our ego, this means that we give up our false ego, but the real ego is always present. When one is reflected through the material contamination of the body and mind in false identification, he is in the conditional state, but when he is reflected in the pure stage, he is called as liberated. The identification of oneself with one's material possessions in the conditional stage must be purified, and one must identify himself in relationship with the Supreme Lord. In the conditioned state, one accepts everything as an object of sense gratification, and in the liberated state, one accepts everything for the service of Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness, devotional service, is the actual liberated stage of a living entity. Otherwise, both accepting and rejecting the material platform or in voidness or impersonalism are imperfect conditions of pure soul for the pure soul.
So it's a bigger purpose. We'll go in sections. The self-realized soul is thus reflected first in the threefold ego and then in the body, senses, and mind. So previously we have seen the reflection of the Supreme Lord, Super Soul, how the Super Soul is reflected, and now how the soul, self-realized soul, how he is reflected. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says one has to very clearly understand what is ego. Ego means sense of who am I. That is called as ego, right? So in the conditioned state, the ego is I am this body. And if you go to the corporate atmosphere, when we are supposed to wear our identity card, we are supposed to be literally become one with the company. People will talk, as if, yeah, we are present in 45 countries, we are MNC. So, I mean, so this is the identity one is supposed to take on when one is present in any particular organization or a corporate. That is ego. So what is ego? Ego means sense of who am I. So in the conditioned state, the sense of who am I am this body. But in the liberated state, one is acting in one's spiritual position, and that position is Jivera Swarupahe Krishnera Nityadas. So that is called as the real ego. So the conditioned ego works in three modes of material nature, right? Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Whereas the liberated ego, it works in Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva Sattva, Vasudeva platform. In the conditioned state, everything when one look for, because I am this body, this is mine, and I want to enjoy. I am the enjoyer. I am the proprietor. This is the activity of the conditioned ego or conditioned soul. But in the liberated state, the activity is I am eternal servant of Krishna and I'm part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. I'm not the enjoyer, I'm cooperator. That's like somebody sees, the very beautiful rose. What one will think? One will think, oh, this rose, let me smell it. Let me enjoy the smell. This is liberated. This is conditioned stage. But as soon as one sees rose, one will think, oh, how beautiful it will be at the feet of Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Krishna, or this deity. And of course, after offering to the deity, and then one can take the smell as prasadam. This is liberated condition, liberated stage. So this is how the ego reflects, and this is how the ego acts. Atmendriya pritivancha dhare kamanam, Krishnendriya pritivancha dhare premanam. That when we want to satisfy our own senses, sense gratification, atmendriya priti, then that is called as kama. But Krishnendriya Priti, that is called as prema. And this is the difference between conditioned state and liberated state. Yeah, please continue.
By the understanding of the pure soul called Satyadruk, one can see everything as a reflection of the sun, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A concrete example can be given in this connection. Conditioned soul sees a very beautiful rose and he thinks that the nice aromatic flower should be used for his own sense gratification. This is one kind of vision. A liberated soul, however, sees the same flower as a reflection of the Supreme Lord. He thinks this beautiful flower is made possible by the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it belongs to the Supreme Lord and should be utilized in His service. These are two kinds of vision. The conditioned soul sees the flower for his own enjoyment, and the devotee sees the flower as an object to be used in the service of the Lord. In the same way, one can see the reflection of the Supreme Lord in one's own senses, mind, and body in everything. With the correct vision, one can engage everything in the service of the Lord. It is stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that one who has engaged everything, his vital energy, his wealth, his intelligence, and his words in the service of the Lord, or who desires to engage all these in the service of the Lord, no matter how he is situated, is to be considered a liberated soul or Satyadruk. Such a man has understood things as they are.
So Srila Prabhupada gives the example that we discussed, very beautiful example. Srila Prabhupada's example only, this is aromatic flower, rose is there, and how the conditioned soul will think and how the liberated soul will think. And therefore Prabhupada says these are the two kinds of vision, right? Further, Srila Prabhupada writes, the conditioned soul, in this way, one can see the reflection of the Supreme Lord in one's own senses, mind, and body. Right? One can see that, balam balavatam chaham, that the power to act is coming from the Supreme Lord. So what this means actually is, that devotee is always active yet humble, right? He will not be aspiring or dying for credit. Maine kiya, mera, something like that. He understands that, yes, this is done through me, and he is happy performing activities, being very resourceful. At the same time, he is happy giving all credit to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is called as Satyadruk or NOD. There is a verse about Nikhilashvapya Saktasu Jivan Muktasa Uchchate. Such a personality is called as living liberated. When one is living in such a consciousness, he is called as liberated personality. Next, we come to the next section, the soul without material coverings. Okay, so text 14 to 16, 3 verses. There is a description. Text 14. Bhuta sukshma indriya mano adi buddhi adi shunidraya lineshu asati yastatra vinidro nirahankriyah. Translation.
Although a devotee appears to be merged in the 5 material elements,
Yes, Prabhuji, go ahead.
although a devotee appears to be merged in the 5 material elements, the objects of material enjoyment, the material senses, and material mind and intelligence, he is understood to be awake and to be freed from the false ego. Purport. The explanation by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of how a person can be liberated even in this body is more elaborately explained in this verse. The living entity who has become Satyadruk, who realizes his position in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, may remain apparently merged in the 5 elements of matter, the 5 material sense objects, the 10 senses, and the mind and intelligence. But still, he is considered to be awake and to be freed from the reaction of false ego. Here, the word Lina is very significant. The Mayavadi philosophers recommend merging in the impersonal effulgence of Brahman. That is their ultimate goal or destination. That merging is also mentioned here. But in spite of merging, one can keep his individuality. The example given by Jiva Goswami is that a green bird that enters a green tree appears to merge in the color of the greenness, but actually the bird does not lose its individuality. Similarly, a living entity merged either in the material nature or in the spiritual nature does not give up his individuality. Real individuality is to understand oneself to be the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. This information is received from the mouth of Lord Chaitanya. He said clearly upon the inquiry of Sanatana Goswami that a living entity is the servitor of Krishna eternally. Krishna also confirms in Bhagavad Gita that the living entity is eternally his part and parcel. The part and parcel is meant to serve the whole. This is individuality. It is so even in the material existence that, when the living entity apparently merges in matter, his gross body is made up of five elements. His subtle body is made up of mind, intelligence, false ego, and contaminated consciousness. And he has five active senses and five knowledge acquiring senses. In this way, he merges in matter. But even while merged in the 24 elements of matter, he can keep his individuality as the eternal servitor of the Lord. Either in the spiritual nature or in the material nature, such a servitor is to be considered a liberated soul. That is the explanation of the authorities. And it is confirmed in this verse. Hare Krishna.
Although the devotee appears to be merged in five elements, material enjoyment, material senses, mind and intelligence, which is material, he is understood to be awake and is freed from the false ego. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, when Rupa Goswami is talking about Jivan Mukta, so sometimes, person may feel, oh, he is a Jivan Mukta, he is a liberated soul. That means he will not have back pain, he will not have arthritis, he will not have, So Jivan Mukta means his consciousness is liberated. Although the body and the bodily structure may be made up of matter. Because he has realized his position with the Supreme Lord and he is acting in that position, therefore his consciousness is liberated, although the body may be in the material form and subjected to the laws of material nature. And this is one of the reasons why it is considered that one should not go very close to Guru, because there is always a chance to think Guru as ordinary person. Gurushu naramatir Vaishnave jati buddhi. So one may think Guru as the ordinary, oh, he also, he also has this pain and he also has, so therefore, one is supposed to be keeping distance from, one is supposed to keep distance from the fire, healthy distance. So that one is supposed to keep healthy distance from the deities and one is supposed to keep healthy distance from Guru, the spiritual master. Otherwise, there is always a chance that one may treat Guru as ordinary person. And this, we can see in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is a story of this Ramachandra Puri, who was god brother of Ishwara Puri, disciple of Madhavendra Puri, and who is unable to understand the ecstasies of Madhavendra Puri, and he was in a way let go by Madhavendra Puri, and whereas Ishwara Puri, because he extensively served Madhavendra Puri, he was blessed by Madhavendra Puri. So this is very important. So Jivan Mukta means one has some idea that Jivan Mukta means he can walk on the water, he can fly in the air or something like that, some fantastic idea like this. No. A liberated personality may be apparently, seemed like he's also merged in matter, but his consciousness is liberated. Further, Prabhupada says the word Leena is important because many times these Mayavadis, they are fond of using the word Leena. You'll find this word typically Brahma Leena, Shri Leena, So Leena means merge. They are merged in Brahman. Okay. So this is a very favorite word of Mayavadis, Leena or Kaivalya. These are very, very favorite words. Kaivalya Chakravarti. These are like very favorite words with Mayavadi tinge of thought process. But Leena means Lina means merged, but Lina doesn't mean merged to lose one's identity. And Rupa Goswami gives a classic example that there is a green parrot entering the green tree, and from the distance you will see everything green. And one will think, oh my God, this parrot is merged into the tree. But when you go close, one will realize, oh, parrot is there, tree is there, and there is beautiful, happy interaction with the parrot and tree. Similarly, when a living entity becomes liberated, he doesn't merge with the Supreme in the sense of losing his individuality. He enters the Supreme. Even in Brahmajyoti, nobody merges. Nobody merges anywhere. The classic, the very, very typical example of Mayavadis is when just like water of the river enters the ocean, the river is merged into ocean, and river becomes ocean, and ocean becomes this and that. But now the modern science has proven that every molecule of the water retains its individuality, right? So, so the merged means though there is bhakta remains, Bhagavan remains, and reciprocation between bhakta and Bhagavan, bhakti also remains. Just like the parrot remains, the tree remains, and the reciprocation of the parrot and the tree, that also remains. Although from a distance it may appear everything is green, everything is merged. So this is the beautiful example of Jiva Goswami, So merge, what is the meaning of merged? Merge means magnaha. Magna means deeply absorbed. Deeply absorbed. Just like, you will see the child, and the child goes and is playing in the mud. And have you seen or child playing in the mud? There will be mud everywhere on his head, except the eyes. Then he will start crying. He will be just submerged in the mud, soaked in the mud, right? So, but he is different than the mud. Similarly, a living entity may be merged, and although a liberated soul is also maybe merged in matter, but still he is Jivan Mukta. Prabhupada says this is confirmed by Lord Chaitanya in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. That living entity never becomes one with the Supreme. This is the disease of the thought that, ek ho jana, Jiva Shiva chi ghat hote, Jiva becomes Shiva, and all those different fancy ideas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivera Swarupa hai, Krishnera Nitya Das. Nitya Das doesn't mean that he is Das only in the conditioned state and liberated state. He realizes, oh, I am only Bhagavan. I am only the boss. No, Nitya Das. Lord Krishna says, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. What is the meaning of the word Sanatana? Sanatana means without beginning, without end. So eternally, the living entity is Amsha of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So although the living entity is merged in the matter, still he is different from the matter and doesn't become the matter, right? So this is how his positioning of merged is being explained. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Raji.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dharan Pam, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.